You know, Rob, one of the things that we hear a lot is that I'll be okay, I have my phone. Or, no problem, I'll call you when I get there, I'll be okay. Or, don't worry, I have my phone.
Or mom says, call me if you have a problem.
Even mom says, call me if you need help,
Yep.
or anything like that. So, I have a question. Are cell phones good or bad when it comes to safety?
You know what? Cell phones have their purpose in keeping us safe, but sometimes we have a false understanding of what a cell phone is and what it does. Oftentimes people will think, if I have problems, I'll pull my phone out and I'll dial 911.
I would call 911.
Well, and most people would. They would think about that. But you know what? We've actually heard of people who have been in emergency situations and they've got their phone out and then they start calling out to people, what's the number for 911?
I understand that. That's what happens to your body under stress. You forget things, your fine motor skills don't even work sometimes to actually open your phone, put in your passcode, and make that call.
And that becomes hard. When we start losing fine motor skills, when we become scared or nervous and bad things are happening around us, we have a tendency to start shaking. And that becomes very difficult for us to open our phone app, put in our passcode if we need it, and then actually to make the 911 phone call or phone someone else that we hope is going to come.
For sure.
And people's thought on 911, they make the call, they dial 911, and they expect someone to show up right away. That's not the reality. We see it in movies and televisions, and that's why we think that 911 is the great tool for us to keep us safe. Beth and I live in a rural location, and we've been told from a 911 operator herself that it can take up to 15 minutes for us to get help in our area.
A lot can happen in 15 minutes, Rob. That's pretty scary.
Some bad things can happen in 15 minutes. Larger cities, large metropolitan areas, we've also heard that it can take up to 7 to 10 minutes in order for response time for police to help. And another misconception that people have about their phone is this little GPS locator on the inside.
I keep my location on all the time.
You know what? And it's a great thing. But people think that if they phone 911 and maybe they don't even get the opportunity to say, who you are or you need help, that 911 can locate where you are. That's not true.
It's not true?
It's not. The way 911 operates, they can triangulate you with your cell towers, so they can get very close to where you are, but not identify where you are. And often people think that if I make a 911 call, they'll know I'm in the basement of my home. That's not true. They may know you're in a block, but they may not know where you are. In downtown Toronto, they may be able to tell that you're in a condominium, but they may not know what floor you're on or even what unit you're in.
I understand.
So relying on your cell phone and GPS and all of that, when it keeps you safe, really isn't a good tool.
Okay, what about this? What if I felt like you were going to come at me, going to steal something of mine or going to hurt me some way? I have my phone. I would probably have my camera open and I would just say, don't come any closer because I'm going to take...
Give me that phone! You know what? If I'm going to be a bad guy and I've made a decision that I'm going to hurt you, there's no way I'm going to allow you to take my picture. If you take my picture, the only thing you're going to do is increase the violence that I'm going to bring to our encounter. Because the last thing that I want is for you to be able to turn a photograph over to the police of who I am. So the one thing that is going to happen, I'm going to fight for all I have to make sure I can get that phone from you. So a cell phone doesn't always keep you safe, and you need to understand that. A phone has a good tool for reporting crime if you're seeing it from a distance, or maybe if you can, make a phone call to help someone out. Those are all great things. But relying on your cell phone as the tool and the only tool to keep you safe is not a good idea at all.
So you're saying don't think that I can do something I wouldn't normally do, parking in an underground parking garage, crossing a dark parking lot at night, just because I have my phone, I shouldn't feel like I'm invincible.
No, and you know what? The other side of it, we've actually met people where they've been fearful or they've something has happened that scares them, and they think that they can pull their phone out and pretend that they're making a phone call.
I would think that would be the same as threatening to take someone's picture.
That's exactly what happens.
Because if the bad guy thought I was calling for help, he doesn't want that either.
No, that's right. So just by doing that and behaving in the wrong way, you're now creating just more distractions for that person who's made that decision to hurt you to come after you and give them a greater opportunity of success. So don't rely on your phone. Again, intuition is a big thing. Being aware of what's happening around you is very, very important. Using your cell phone as your self-defense tool, not very successful at all.
Thanks, Rob.
Hey, you know what? We just thought about something else about cell phones, and we really need to share this because it's an important thing. And it's all about the distraction that cell phones do to people, right?
Absolutely.
So you have to understand, if you're walking down the street looking at a cell phone and maybe you're coming up across a crosswalk and you're not paying attention to what's happening to you, you could get hit by a car. Or you may be actually walking across the crosswalk looking into your phone and bumping into someone. And now that causes a potential for a conflict or an argument to start happening. Or even worse yet, you might be walking down the street looking at your phone and all of a sudden someone says, "Thanks for the $1,000, and off they go and you've just lost your phone. Right?
It's a huge distraction, isn't it?
Cell phones can be a terrible distraction, and a lot of times, you know what, they can create issues with you. I'm going to tell you a little bit of story about a young lad that I met in a Toronto school in downtown Toronto, and we were just before lunch and we were talking about cell phones, and he actually said to me that his cell phone isn't a distraction to him. So I thought I would do a test. As they walked out for lunch, I followed him out. I was probably, 15, 20 meters behind him. As he started getting a little bit closer up onto Yonge Street, I got really close to him. And here I was, as he walked down Yonge Street with his phone, not paying attention to what happened. And the scary part of this, at any given moment, I could have reached and taken his phone. Or worse yet, I could have taken him. So that becomes the problem with cell phones. They're great tools, great things to make phone calls with, not so good for self-defense, especially when we're not paying attention to what's happening around us.
So what you're saying is distracted walking is just as bad as distracted driving.
In some cases, even worse. Yeah. Tool.
Okay, what about this? What if I felt like you were going to come at me, going to steal something of mine or going to hurt me some way? I have my phone. I would probably have my camera open and I would just say, "Don't come any closer because I'm going to take..."
Give me that phone! You know what? If I'm going to be a bad guy and I've made a decision that I'm going to hurt you, there's no way I'm going to allow you to take my picture.